Anytime. Please ensure that you loaded your presentation.
Hold your own voice.
Place for president. Ready.
Okay, so where is it?
Special distribution H.
H.
Yes. Special distribution.
Which one?
Special this one.
This one.
This one is. Is it going to?
No. Okay, so
See,
You can put it in the folder. It's like people don't use our system because it's like there are some issues on our system. You need to do everything at the time.
hold on 1 minute. Special. Hold on.
Slideshow from the beginning.
All protocols duly observed. Michael Dura to make a presentation on the special distribution of COVID-19 incidents in Gombe State for a period of June 2020 to June 2021. The coronavirus or COVID-19 has caused a global pandemic, it's not a global pandemic, and has caused a problem for mankind globally.
Give me the next presentation.
It is one of several countries have experienced the second and third wave of the disease. And presently, some countries like in Europe are experiencing the fourth wave of the COVID-19. And that is why here in Lagos, the Greater Fiesta Lagos 2021 had to be suspended because of the looming threat caused by the fourth wave of COVID-19. It is a contagious disease, and its rate of transmission and mode of transmission is fast rate of infection and transmission has posed a global problem. Why? And it can challenge simply because the RNA virus mutates, and that is why we have different variants from the alpha, beta, gamma, and then delta, which right now is from India. So the next thing is okay, my outline, we are now in methodology, we can go through access some of these things. The introduction. These are what I have said, and then next. Okay, the geographic information system is being used in the academic studies to find where people are most affected and also make it possible to view disease distribution in great detail. The GIS prepares a perfect base to match explicit data regarding the disease interpretation in connection with people, population, and special distribution.
This is the flash.
Special examination of a disease outbreak focuses on the question, where is the disease concentrating and in which direction is it spreading? Therefore, in context of COVID-19 spread in Gombe, the present study aims to explore the special distribution of COVID-19 outbreak with the help of GIS within a 1 year period. Methodology and data sources. This study analyzed the trend and special distribution of coronavirus disease in Gombe using the GIS system. The secondary data was collected from the period of June 2020 to 2021, and it was collected with written permission from the Emergency Office Operations Center. And the data collected included confirmed to recovered and death cases of COVID-19 in Gombe. Missing data on the daily situation reports were not included. The result analysis shows the trend in terms of the total tested. And we had a total of 36,910 cases that were tested, patients that were tested within this period, of which 51% tested negative, 24.21% were positive, 23.94% recovered, while sadly 0.28% died, and 0.56% had no outcome, as shown graphically. The figure 2 depicts the gender ratio, whereby we had higher prevalence in males than female. Like the first presenter portrayed that more of the males had this infection too. So it correlates with what we had today. The world reported has similar figures with that done in China, where they have 63.68% cases for men and 32% for women. And then in CDC 2021, men had a proportion of 60% than female. According to other works done, being a male predisposes one to coming down with this disease, the coronavirus. And the possible reasons could be that the male had a higher expression of the angiotensin converting enzyme, which is the receptor for the COVID-19 virus, using the spike protein. And then sex-based immunological differences is also driven by the X chromosome, which you know that the female has the double of the X chromosomes, which comprises of about 60 genes, making it twice the double dose for women. Therefore, the women tend to have a higher and rapid efficient immunity to fighting this disease. And in terms of lifestyle, we know that there are more higher rates of smoking and drinking amongst men than female. And more of the women too equally practices more of these preventive measures, like wearing a face mask, following the stay-at-home order, and then other practices. And we have most of the women like in the north, their wives or the women are always stay at home. They are more or less like housewives. So it is the men that goes out to in hustle for a livelihood. In terms of age, men equally had higher incidence of confirmed cases across all age groups, and which is most in the ages of 21 to 40 years of age. This is because the workforce in Gombe State is mostly populated by this age group of 21 to 40 years. Those are the people you see riding Okada, in Marwa, and those that we see them in the parks too. And then the special distribution of COVID-19 is presented in figure 4A and B. And from here it was observed that the highest rates of COVID-19 were located in the city center, which has about 24.6%. And the city center is the Gombe, LGA, local government area, which is followed by the neighboring local government area. And the list graphically shown is by NiBSA, which has the list of 1.3%. This will be attributed to population and urbanization, where people tend to move to the city center in looking for jobs. And in that area, you now have, despite the fact that Gombe LGA has the smallest class mass of about 52 hectares, but it seems to have the highest population closest to our local government of close to over 200 people living in that area. For the NiBSA is least developed and at the extreme end of the state, having unconducive weather and sharing border with the neighboring states. The trend analysis showed a downward trend between the people tested and the local government area. In as much as we have logged an upward trend, or we're able to, from the GIS, we saw that it was more or less a downward trend. That is because from the population to estimated population in Gombe State, we are over close to 1 million. Yet the number of people tested were only 36,910 persons. So despite the fact, this trend has shown that the number of people tested are less in comparison to the population. In conclusion, the research has been able to identify the geographical areas of risk exposure to COVID-19, which are the city center and the neighboring state, which is Apple local government. This information could be used to target interventions for mass testing, isolation of cases to mitigate the spread of the disease, as well as allocating the necessary health resources such as vaccine rollout to prevent more infections and deaths. And this research will also be useful for planners and policymakers to mitigate the impact of COVID-19 on population and improve the state. Further research is recommended to be placed on public health practices and safety measures. Thank you. The next one will show a picture of the youth. Next slide. The youth, why these are the population of the age range of the youth. And this picture shows what we term the Genisa in the north, that is where the men sit and gather. So, and with this sort of things, definitely the spread and the transmission of COVID-19, if not put on hold, can even increase further. Thank you so much, and appreciation goes to the polling parties. And thank you all.
Thank you. Beautifully put together. I didn't see you clapping. I want to ask you what's your take home message. The next presenter, Ben Chairman Abley, Imperative for Biosafety on COVID-19 vaccination process in
Okay.
Welcome, Ben Chairman Abley. Put your hands together for us.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Yes. It's coming up.
Is Dr. Toyosi Rahim. You have uploaded your work. Okay. Don't ask so much again. Dr. Ayorinde James is he here? Please call him to come. And so we'll move.
This one?
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone, standing on existing protocols. My name is Adeline Benchoma. I'm presenting on behalf of other authors. The title, Imperative of Biosafety on COVID-19 Vaccination Process in Port Harcourt. As a biosafety expert, or you've been trained on anything biosafety, when you walk into a room or a place where certain biological agents are being handled or biological processes are going on, if your eyes are on alert, you're hiding, you want to see what is going on. So when I walked in to take my first jab of AstraZeneca sometime in June, I met a scene that I wasn't very comfortable with, and I decided to do something about it. In June, I went in to taking my first jab of the COVID-19 vaccine, and I met a scene that I particularly wasn't very comfortable. As you all know, the COVID-19 is with us and a lot has been said about it. You know, vaccines were hastily done, though they followed the due process as we were told, and we also told that the vaccines will help reduce the effective rate of the COVID-19 virus. I were advised to take the vaccine for protection. And then, of course, didn't produce anyone, but we got some from outside of the country in March this year. We started with the AstraZeneca vaccine before Moderna now came in. So I said to do an observation. My work was mainly observation. What I did was, or we did was basically we observed the process to see if they follow the biosafety rules concerning vaccination. We went around 6 centers in whatever city. We do have 2 local government, but they are intertwined. So you don't even know where one starts and the other ends. When you say Port Harcourt, you're actually talking about Port Harcourt City local government and Obiakon local government. So we went about 6 centers in those local governments and found that they are basically practicing the same. There were adult staff who were, of course, trained to administer these vaccines, but they just threw safety caution to the wind and did what they needed to do. If you've been a mother or you've been in a vaccination center when children have been vaccinated, you know that the vaccination process is being handled by the matrons and they try to follow safety rules. But this particular adult staff were mainly retired, even drivers. I met a particular driver who was driving the van that brings in the adult staff. He too was part of the process of administering the vaccine. Maybe he was also trained. We have a lot of retired staff, both male and female, and a few young staff who just left secondary school. And in the process of administering this vaccine, there were no gloves, there were no lab coats, but just all kinds of things that are going on there. Then you see, even the data entry, one starts, it gets to the second person, and maybe a third person will finish up, either due to hitches. So they were really coordinated in the administration of the vaccine. And we tried to administer questionnaire. They won't take. We tried to interview them. Of course, they refused to be part of that. So we just barely did the observation and had our records. Then it got worse when I went to take my second dose. It had moved from a small tent, a canopy rather, a small canopy to a room. And in that room, you had other people taking vaccine. The vaccine were in a particular cooler, mixed up with children's vaccine, expectant mothers vaccine, nursing mothers vaccine. So once you show your card, the lady will just ramble through the cooler and get whatever she thinks is for you and gives you. In that process, there could be a mix-up of different things. She can mistakenly give me an expectant mother's vaccine. The slide is basically academic. I'm just going to talk about what happened. The slide is basically academic, so please let's go through it. In mixing up all that different vaccines in a cooler, there could be mix-up. So just go to results or something. There could be mix-up, and could be taking COVID-19 vaccine, and you give me measles, mumps, and rubella, or you give me whatever some mother and expected mother is expected to take. So the process was not safety related, and one of the things we tried to talk about in the communication is the results. So most of them didn't wear the laboratory coats, there were no hand gloves, the vaccines were all mixed up. Results, please. And that could lead to cross-infection, the process and science of administration, even administering the wrong vaccine, which can, of course, lead to adverse effects. You think you're taking, and of course, if it's for vaccine, for COVID, and you think you're taking it for protection, hospital will not get protection from that. Please next slide. Then we know that vaccination requires skill and experience. Well, vaccination doesn't get anybody into it. But for some reason, what we saw is that people who were just available there or who had contact with those who were at the end of affairs just put in their people and they were trained to administer. Just go and give the jab. It's not just to put needle on the arm and goes. And a lot of things were not really followed. Of course, adequacy of control, when we talk about vaccines, the culture is also supposed to be particularly controlled, but that was not the case. Next slide, please. So in recommendation, we need to train people properly, and of course, as a biosafety organization, we need to also put it out there. The certain processes should, of course, involve a biosafety expert who will also advise on certain issues bordering on biosafety. And when that is done, even when that classification is not ongoing, there should be monitoring and evaluation. As we always say, monitoring and evaluation is also recommended to ensure that the process is as intended. Because people had different reactions, people had all kinds of things following the vaccination. We do not know why all of that came because of the vaccine or the processes that follow the vaccination. So it's important that no matter how simple or how trivial the process is, as long as it contains biological agents, as long as it has to do with biological practices, biosafety needs to also be taught and advise whoever is training anybody on anything biological safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thought we can do better than that. Thank you. The next presenter, Dr. Toyosi Bahim, will be talking on the performance assessment of every biology, TB, MPT, physical assay for the diagnosis of mycobacterium tuberculosis complex during COVID-19 pandemic in Lagos, Nigeria. This is Lagos.
Yes, sir. Three things at the same time. Okay. Okay, so three things at the same time. Flash will come up, then after the flash has come up. Which one is this one? NiBSA. Yes, yes.
So we move.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I stand on the existing protocol. My topic for this presentation is performance assessment of every biolab for MPT 64 gene, MPT 64 protein for the diagnosis of TB MTBC complex. This will be presented by me on behalf of the investigators listed on the paper. Next slide. Next slide.
Hold on, please.
Okay. This is the outline of my presentation. Next slide. TB remains a disease of serious burden, not only in Nigeria, but globally. We know that Africa contributes to about 11% of the world population. However, Africa contributes the highest to the TB burden globally. You can see the number of people that are affected, about 2.4 million, and about 540,000 there. And South Africa has the highest burden. And Nigeria is one of the 6 countries where the TB burden is high. Again, Lagos is always on the lead, even in terms of TB burden. And that is why if we are to achieve the 2030 goal of the SDG, we must begin to see how we can rapidly detect pathogens before they continue to spread in the community. Therefore, the objective of this presentation are to investigate the performance of ST BioLine with the FPT64 test tool and to compare the detection of the MTBC and non-tuberculous mycobacteria from cultures. Next slide. Next slide. The need for us to properly detect TB is very important because it is a driver of infection in the community. Biosafety and biosecurity will be compromised if TB pathogens are not detected early. And this is why the prognosis for disease for outcome of disease depends on how rapidly we are able to diagnose these pathogens and how treatment intervention is put in place based on our outcome of the result. FPT64 is a 64 kilodalton protein that is produced by Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex. And the protein is regulated by a gene which we call FPT64 gene. And we realize that the strains of pathogens that are circulating in our environment, this gene will mutate. And as a result of this, if the strains circulating in our environment have their genes mutated, therefore the reliability of test results that we will be getting using this product, the MPT64 based antigen kit, will be faulty. So it is better. That is why we go into this investigation. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. This study started, the study site is a multi-center study consisting of 6 centers in Lagos State and Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Lagos Mainland Hospital, and some other 4 other centers were part of these 6 centers that were studied. It was a cross-sectional study, and we started it in 2012, even when we never knew that COVID-19 was going to break out. And I can say authoritatively that the work is still ongoing because the result of our study justified the need for us to continue the study because of the kind of result we got, which we'll see later. So the work is still ongoing, and it's a multi-center study that took place here in Lagos. Next slide. The samples were collected, sputum samples were collected from these centers. They were cultured on low stringency medium, and we also used the living culture media, the BG 960, to also do the isolation. So those were used as the gold standard. And after isolating the pathogen, we now use the immunochromatographic technique, which is the ST BioLine PT64 kit, to evaluate, because the objective is for us to detect this pathogen early enough before they are spread into the community by people that are infected. It is also necessary here to say that the kit is very cheap and can easily be deployed on the field. Even in rural areas, because once the isolates are obtained, then they will be used on the field, and then we'll be able to detect whether these isolates are MPT64 Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex or non-tuberculosis mycobacteria, so that treatment will be initiated properly. Next slide. Now, the results show that when the samples were cultured on low stringency medium, it took about 40 days on the average before we could detect the pathogen. Using the BG 960 the time to detection was reduced to 18 days. But if not for this, if we didn't, for the kids, if we use the conventional method of identification, whether it is Mycobacterial tuberculosis complex or not, it will have taken additional 3 weeks before results are out. But using this MPT64 kit, we were able to get results within 15 to 20 minutes, which would have been delayed if the conventional phenotypic characterization was done, as we will see in some of the next slide that will follow. Next slide. We try to compare the reliability of the kit with the conventional method, and we were able to see that out of 120 samples that were confirmed by a conventional method, 117 of the isolate were confirmed as Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex, and that will imply that treatment for those ones will be initiated. The non-tuberculosis mycobacteria were 0, and 3 were negative out of 120 that were tested for Mycobacterium for using the kit. Now, the 3 that were negative, we tried to use another tiebreaker, which is the Lyme probacin, and the Lyme probacin confirmed that these 3 were actually MTBC and not non-tuberculosis mycobacteria. And that is why we continue with this study to try to see if there is mutation of the gene that is responsible for producing this protein. But looking at the sensitivity of the MPT64 kit, we were able to establish that the sensitivity was 97.5%, while the specificity was 100%. For those that were confirmed to be MTBC positive, all the 117 that were established to be MTBC were also confirmed to be MTBC by the Lyme probacin kit. Now, the positive predictive value was also established to be 100%, while the negative predictive value was established to be 92.5. Next slide. Next slide.
Hold on. Hold on.
Maybe I use this time to say those 3 that were negative were found to be, by Lyme probacin, were found to be MTBC positive. But there is an, when we get to the discussion, we'll see that. Now, these are the results of the phenotypic characterization, some of the phenotypic characterization that was carried out. You can see now before this, you can see the catalyst test. What will have done this catalyst test, it will take some time before results are out. Then the other one that is showing is a niacin production acid, which is one of the acid techniques for detection of Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex. Next slide. Now, this is the result of the positive reaction. The one to the left is a positive result after running the acid, and then the one to the left is showing negative after running the acid. The principle was based on the immunochromatographic acid technique, where the antibody has been coated with a dye and it's blotted out in the nitrocellulose material, which is coated with a cell. And color production means 2 lines means it is positive, 1 line means it is negative. That next slide. Well, we see from this result that we were able to confirm that the MPT64 LD bioline could be conveniently used on the field as the specificity and sensitivity as we found to be in agreement with the study conducted elsewhere. There have been several studies conducted in Ibadan, in China, and some other places where the specificity has been confirmed to be 100%. But from this, we can infer that the kit is reliable and it can be used for rapid detection of mycobacterium tuberculosis and differentiation of some from the non-tuberculosis mycobacteria. The ongoing work, next slide. The ongoing work that I said is ongoing is for us to look at the three that were negative. The gene that is responsible for the production of this protein could have been mutated, and as a result of the variation, I think I will miss some of this.
Sorry.
So there is a mutation, and there could be mutation of the gene that is responsible for the production of MPT64 protein, and that is what we want to investigate further. Looking at larger samples, covering larger areas, looking at the maybe single nuclear polymorphism or other types of variation of the gene. So, next slide. Well, I want to especially appreciate the Professor Bamidele Balogun because he was team lead for this study, and also we want to use this opportunity to commensurate with him because he lost his wife yesterday. Really unfortunately. And we also want to thank NiBSA management and thank NiBSA for giving us this opportunity. And of course, I thank the audience for giving us attention. These are the few references that I give to the
Thank you. By this, we have come to the end of the NiBSA President Investigators Award Contest. While we are waiting for the next step, we now invite reactions, comments, questions, interactions on the presentations. If you have any, maybe about two, three. If not, I'm thinking of what to do. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. My little observation, just a minor observation, but it's fundamental, is on the third presenter from Port Harcourt. What we look at the result presented, actually it should be in numerical format. It should have been in numerical format. That is when you look at it at a glance and maybe try to understand something. Neither figures nor tables were used. So I hope maybe the presenter will take note of that. Thank you.
Thank you. One, two more.
Okay, thank you. My comment is on the last presentation. Now, considering all those tests, because you worked on isolate, and since you were trying to compare and to assess the specificity of this test, why didn't you consider running a PCR?
Thank you. Hello, Chair. I'll be pleased with you. I'll make your comment. Start me again.
Okay, good morning, colleagues. Good morning, everyone. I actually have no question or comment on specific presentation. I have followed through. But I'd like to commend the presenters for the high quality of the work that they have presented, and I think we need to acknowledge that. I am very proud of our colleagues who have made this presentation. Very good, very topical, and well delivered. The slides were also well prepared. I want to thank them for that, for the efforts, and of course, appreciate you for being part of their presentations. Thank you very much.
It's not all you can do for a presidential event. The violence taken by force. After now.
I want to comment on the lady from Gombe. You said the pictures were from NiBSA, but I saw you are not like the lady from Gombe. I stayed in boarding school for 15 years, so I know what I'm saying. So your NiBSA you are showing us is not looking like NiBSA.
Thank you. People started.
Thank you. My name is Michael Agbaje, and I initially was thinking I shouldn't ask this question, but the second thought, considering the area of expertise we have in this room, I decided let me ask, particularly to the presenters on vaccine. I've had this issue in my mind. Most of the vaccines we have today for COVID are targeted towards the spike protein. And there have been this debate or argument that if somebody has come down with COVID and has survived, wouldn't such a person have better immunity than vaccinal immunity? And then if I have come down with COVID and have survived, do I still need to take vaccine? Considering that if I have natural immunity, it's going to be all encompassing and goes beyond just the spike protein. But we are somewhat forced to take vaccines that just targets a component of the virus. If somebody can just shed more light on that. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'm not taking more reactions. Nobody's making comments again, unless you're going to answer a specific question. The question, in fact,
I just want to comment on what the last speaker said. The answer I have is that there are so many stories regarding the COVID-19 virus that the SARS-CoV-2 we are seeing. They said it was manipulated, some said it was this, it was meant to eradicate some population of people, some race, I don't want to talk the race, but this is scientific gathering. So, there are so many variations. So if you take just like malaria, population with malaria vaccine for a very long time in this country, all over the world, especially in Africa, it's just said they are able to get something. So, as they are bringing in the different groups you don't even know, so you take this one, you have immunity against it. The next barrier they are not going to put in the air, which you don't have, you come down with it. So that is the truth of the matter, which they are hiding.
Thank you. If you check your time, it's 9:50 by our NiBSA time. It's 9:50. Check your time and check your program. It means that we have come to the end of this presentation, and every question, if you have specific questions, go and locate the presenter and ask the question. But while she's responding, let me interact with the LOC here.
Sorry, sir. Thank you so much for the observation. But like I said, NiBSA is just a term that defines like an assembly. The assembly could be anywhere. It could be under the tree. It could be in the front of the house. It could be in the football field. All it has to do is assemblage of men that just sit there probably to talk about politics or everything. So it's not as if it's a definition of where the place is. It's just a gathering of people to discuss. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I want to seize this opportunity. Hello, sir. One house, just as the Rosaba said, to come to the end of that session, I want to seize this opportunity to appreciate our Vice Ambassador, deeply represented by the NiBSA, a card also Alliance.
There's something he has shown to us today before the beginning of the time is being here. So we're all on our toes. At this point, we have to go straight to the opening ceremony, while the judges are taking their decision, one by one decision. So at this point, I want to invite my brother, my boss, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, to the high table, Professor. And for the the minister. And then our most expensive Vice President of NiBSA, Dr. Stella. Our the Secretary of NiBSA, please, we want to talk with the Director. He is Easter again, so it's Dr. Easter. So you're welcome, sir. And then at this point, you cannot shave the head of anyone without physically having the head. So physically having the head of NiBSA here, we want to introduce our wonderful president, Professor Louis. Okay, he stepped out to join us. So while I want to hand over the anchor of this managing this session to Professor Abba. Let's go and take it.
I should be doing this. This is Lagos. I don't know what the relationship between Lagos and Port Harcourt. Let me do the best I can. We'll wait for the president. Now the item is constituted, and so we'll do what we need to do. So we're beginning the program. Beginning the program, we want to quickly start with an opening prayer. We'll have two, a Muslim volunteer and then a Christian volunteer. If you're in the spirit, just raise your hand. I'll give you the mic so that we have a Christian or Muslim. Muslim, any Christian man here? Okay, Christian, sorry, it's okay. So let's quickly, in that order. Prayer time.
Sallu ala Nabi Karim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka Hamidum Majid. Ya Allah, the Lord of the heavens and earth. Ya Allah, the master of the day of judgment. Ya Allah, we thank you and appreciate you for your kind justice toward us. And we ask you for guidance and protection. And we ask you for the success of this program. Subhanaka rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Thank you.
Say amen. You don't need to understand all that. God understands all language.
Thank you. In Jesus' name, in the mighty name of Jesus, Father, Lord, King of glory, Ancient of days, Lord, we thank you, we appreciate you, we honor you. Thank you, Father, for the gift of this beautiful day. Thank you for the sound rest, the night. Thank you, Lord, Father, for the NiBSA conference, how far you have led us. Thank you for the opening ceremony. Thank you for the escort and the local organizing committee. Thank you for all the participants. Thank you for joining us on the air, on the road, on the rail, on the land. Be thou exalted in Jesus' name.
You know, the good thing about microphone, if you have it, you can bother people anyhow. So it's time for everybody to stand up. You stand up while we take the national anthem. Before we start that, do we have the Lagos State University anthem. Oh. Last one. This is Lagos. While we're on this, the president of NiBSA work team, Professor Unloye, can you put your hands together for him? And also the ever-working LOC chair, Professor A.O.B. Yepolu. Put your hands together for him. LOC chair, please go for your welcome address quickly.
Thank you very much. Try to answer this opportunity to bring forward Dr. Shegun from the First Tribes Reduction Agency. Yes, sir. Yes, it's your intelligence, sir. The lifestyle, sir. We want to take a moment in silence and recognition in the honor of the wife of the vice chairman of LOC for this conference, Mrs. Walokon. Yes, we lost her yesterday, and so slightly have been affecting us for the program and things like that. Anyway, may I request the vice chancellor, sir, please, and the honorable and distinguished members, we just stand up for 1 minute silence. Okay, so that we departed, let's depart, please.
Madam, don't get my camera.
The little welcome speech I want to just title that everyone here, more particularly all the members of NiBSA, I say you are all distinguished and welcome to this conference, Lagos 2021. I'm privileged. I will not read exactly what is there, I'll just say what is in my mind. It's by privilege. After last year, I was made a fellow here by this honorable organization, and I'm so happy to receive to say I'm a fellow of NiBSA. And based on this, I think more responsibility were put on me, and so I became the chairman of this year LOC. And by privilege, I'm heading a very special team, the local organizing committee. They're wonderful. We are far, just few of them are in Lagos, but we are working at each other every second. And that is why we put this together. I want to appreciate all the members of my LOC and again recognize the ever moving forward ESCO from NiBSA, the National ESCO, for seeing and giving me that responsibility and believing that I will deliver. I want to say thank you to the ESCO. I want to appreciate the president. And at this point, I just want to appreciate every member of NiBSA and for coming for this conference. So the last but not the least, I want to appreciate the Vice Chancellor for taking time to come and grace our occasion. I want to say thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you very much, sir, for really representing the Vice Chancellor. And I also want to appreciate the authority of this College of Medicine. Every time we've been here, it's been positive, 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 positive. So the provost is not here, but I want to say the entire association is appreciating the College of Medicine, counting us worthy, giving us all possible things we need to have here to have a beautiful deliberation for this year. Thank you very much.
You can do better than that. It's now time for the presidential address. Mr. President, sir. Put your hands together as back to address us.
Using the existing protocol and adding in the recognition of the Vice Chancellor of Lagos State University, Professor Mrs. Iyemi Olatunji Bello. Ably represented by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, Professor Wahab Elias, and recognizing the office of the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic in his capacity, Professor Wahab Elias. The host of this conference, the provost of the Lagos State University College of Medicine, Professor Abiodun Adewuya, who has been here earlier on today and was with us in the past 2 days, ensuring that everything there goes well. The chairman of the occasion of today, Dr. Babatunde Ipaye, former Commissioner for Health, Lagos State, Ogun State rather, who just told me that he's on his way. He had to cut short his vacation in Europe and landed in Nigeria just this morning in order to be part of this program. He told me that he is already on his way here and will want us up shortly. The distinguished executives of the Nigerian Biological Safety Association, especially as represented here by the plethora of experts, Dr. Mrs. Stella, Dr. Easter, Dr. Sati, Professor Aliu, Mr. Vincent Orji, and Ms. Hajara Yusuf, who will join us soon in this auditorium. I present this very brief welcome address. Let me also recognize those of my constituency, as remotely as it is, gentlemen of the press. I take cognizance of the fact that this event is being covered by Ovation Magazine, Punch newspapers, the Nigerian Tribune, and Echo FM, and the Lasso Multimedia Services. I'm informed also that Channel Television will join us. You are all very welcome. I need to quickly recall that the theme of our conference in 2019 had to do with preparedness for pandemic. While we had that conference, little did we know that a pandemic was almost upon us, and before we could say G, we were faced right by the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. Because we concluded that conference, and before we know it was all over town in March that the pandemic had come. May I welcome the chairman of this occasion, Dr. Babatunde Ipaye, let me also state that what we envisaged at the time of that conference was that there was great need for Nigeria to begin to prepare for an outbreak that may overwhelm us. In preparedness, we thought about personnel and every strategy for containment But alas, by the time the pandemic broke out, it was quite clear that not only was Nigeria yet unprepared, the whole world was caught napping. In other words, our thoughts were not misplaced, neither our priorities at that time. More importantly, our priorities were not premature. COVID-19 proved us right. COVID-19 has claimed so many lives. I don't want to go into the rhetorics of rehashing the data that we have had the presenters this morning read out for us. I know we will still hear more. But let me quickly state that when the pandemic broke out, of course, we must place it on record that in less than 2 days after NiBSA issued a press statement that everywhere that COVID-19 was reported or where anyone had tested positive must be locked down. It was the best panic measure we could talk about because little did we know about the agent. We had very vague knowledge of the characteristics of the agent we were dealing with. And so it was important to exert the maximum effort in order to get the highest containment at that time. While that was going on, many of the other diseases, including the viral hemorrhagic diseases, soon became neglected diseases, while COVID-19 held sway, as if those were not existing. Today we know better. We know better about COVID-19, and we know better that as much as COVID-19 was exerting its ravages, so also were all those other diseases, including yellow fever, including malaria. Malaria had not stopped. And think of all those other diseases that were walking through our landscape like colossus that they were. They soon became minors when COVID-19 came. Now, while that was going on, there was need for us to deploy manpower to go ahead and actually fill around the country in collaboration with the World Health Organization, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health, beg your pardon, and of course, by funds provided by global funds. We went around the country, deployed our members to 72 outposts, health centers, and laboratories across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. You want to say perhaps the Federal Ministry of Health was overwhelmed by that task, and so they called upon us. So we became very willing and useful tools. NiBSA had therefore provided one of its mandates that we have in our ethos. Not only that, in the last 11 years that we have been existing, NiBSA had been training manpower, preparing for something that I don't want to call the evil deed, because it is the evil of COVID-19 we yet know. We do not know the next scheme. And that is the reason why we cannot afford to relent on our efforts. We must continue to train and we must continue to meet in fora like this. It is our fourth conference, international by all standards. As we have here actual presenters, so we do have virtual presenters. So this is fully, therefore, a hybrid conference. We can roll it over and point out to the fact that the theme of this year's conference is the imperatives of biosafety and biosecurity in the developing economy. It is an incontrovertible fact that any disease outbreak has a telling effect on the economy of a people, of a community, and of a nation. And as we have seen, even of the whole world, like COVID-19 showed. The importance, therefore, of this theme is that it is time for us to focus on how the outbreaks of diseases, as we hope to contain with biosafety and biosecurity, is affecting or can be affected in our economies. And that is what we are gathered here to do. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of course, I know the content of what we have in the book of abstracts. And I see that the content of the book of abstracts actually run through the gamut that is expected to be covered by this team. Have a run through of the team and the sub-teams. And you will discover that we actually want to focus not just on diseases, but on containing the diseases using the tools, principles, practices, and procedures of biosafety and biosecurity for maximum containment. But then also focusing on their impact on the economy. Not the economy of Nigeria, even though we are gathered here mostly as Nigerians, but the economy of the whole world. The outbreak of NSAS protest must be mentioned. Little did many know that NSAS after effects was largely not about people who are protesting, but the hijackers became more hungry than they were because of the lockdown that impacted heavily on the economy of Nigeria. As unfortunate as it seems, and Lagos State can tell the story better among other states in Nigeria of the losses that they incurred. Therefore, a meeting like this cannot be underrated, and there can be no gainsaying that the time of such a conference under this theme has actually come. It is therefore this conference I welcome you to. I welcome everyone.
Thank you, President. That was a presidential address, and I know you know better than that. We will now take the Vice Chancellor's address.
Don't block my camera.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed delegates in the field of biosafety and biosecurity, and gentlemen of the press, I'm delighted to welcome you
to Edo State College of Medicine, and by extension, Edo State University, and to the 4th International Conference of the Nigerian Biomedical Safety Association, NiBSA. This year's conference has been packaged to bring together Nigerian medical laboratory scientists, biological and biomedical researchers, veterinary medical experts, environmental scientists, environmental health practitioners, nurses, doctors, and all other experts relevant to biosafety and biosecurity to the stores. Share notes and research approach, as well as updating their knowledge and skills on the advances of biosafety and biosecurity in relation to human, animal, plants, and environmental health. The theme of this year's conference, titled The Imperatives of Biosafety and Biosecurity in the Developing Economy, is a further reflection on the powers of biosafety and biosecurity in creating a living environment for productivity of the workforce in health, agriculture, environment, and education sectors, to mention Pacific, to promote entrepreneurship and create an enduring platforms for research, innovation, and health advances. The conference has also provided a platform to review, brainstorm, and get consensus, opinions, and direction regarding how the principles and applications of biosafety can be used to stem the devastating impact of COVID-19 pandemic caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus in Nigeria, and halt the transmission of endemic diseases and emerging epidemics caused by Lassa virus, West Nile virus, Zika virus, cholera virus, nasal meningitis, among others in Nigeria. Among other debilitating diseases, the COVID-19 pandemic has become a rally point for all stakeholders in biosafety and biosecurity to think multiple and harmonized solutions to address this great health challenge in the 21st century. As of 19 November 2021, a total of 2,256,649,000 confirmed cases and about 5,151,701 deaths due to COVID-19 have been reported in the USA, topping the list of the most affected countries of the world, and Nigeria occupying the 8th position in Africa. The current COVID-19 pandemic situation in Nigeria, according to the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, is indicated by 213,464 confirmed cases, 4,199 active cases, 2,206,292 discharge cases, and about 2,973 deaths. A total of 3,440,172 biological samples, which are mostly respiratory samples, have been tested by 84 government laboratories, 59 private laboratories, and 9 corporate laboratories. To further strengthen surveillance to stem the impact of COVID-19 pandemic in Nigeria, 3 demonic laboratories have also emerged to report SARS-CoV-2 variants circulating in the country in real time and communicate their implications in infection source, vaccine efficacy, and vaccine development to the general public and policy makers. Distinguished delegates, I strongly believe that the time is right for us to explore biosafety and biosecurity, ultimately for the economy, social, and health needs of Nigeria, and to ensure that we entrench the culture, principles, and practice of bus safety and bus security in our setting in order to stem the burden of laboratory associated infections and their consequences, including mental disorder and loss of work hours by infected health workers. We can achieve these things. We work together, engage in research collaboration, network, and share our research expertise and experience. After all, Rome was not built in a day. And we can start now with legal serving as a guiding point, and we say in the Yoruba adage. We say, Ajumoshi, Ego, I also encourage our distinguished delegates to take time off during their stay and explore the many beautiful places of Lagos metropolis. Lagos megacity is well known for its hospitality, social ambience, and fun. I thank all distinguished delegates who have come from far and wide to Lagos under the platform of NiBSA to partake in the first international conference of this amiable association in Lagos. This is long awaited. You have honored NiBSA with your time and resources in making the conference a success. I wish you all fruitful celebration. We are national. We are great. Signed, Professor Ikelu, Thank you.
As the Vice Chancellor said, let's show a better one. I'll now move to the chairman of the occasion. This a round of applause for the chairman of the council.
The governor of Lagos State in absentia, the other commissioner, I guess their representative is the way. The vice chancellor of Lagos State University to be represented. President of NiBSA, Professor Veterinary, and the other members of the Executive Council. The chairman of the conference committee, Professor Akibola Oyefolu, other members of the organizing committee. Let me start by apologizing for coming late. That's not me. I came in from Istanbul this morning, and yesterday was my 25th wedding anniversary. So when your wife who has stayed for 25 years already gives you instructions, you don't obey your And so when Honorable said I must come to share this occasion, I told him 25th is not a very good time. Because I know 23rd, especially on the 25th anniversary, is so demanding. And so I insisted that the only way I can make it is to fly into Nigeria that morning. And so I had to go somewhere, take a shower, quickly borrow his suits, and come down to the shower. Well, let me start by saying it's a pleasure to be midst of colleagues. And I've seen names here that have been extremely very helpful to me. Where's Dr. Mutu? Are you here? This is somewhere working. Okay, anytime I have cases of suspected COVID in Lagos, I call you. Dr. Mutu, my people are coming again. Please help me. Can we give me a round of applause? Dr. Lawal was I'm going to colleague from Chicago. Congratulations. And I'm sure there are cases that I know that maybe because of the face mask, I'm not into the congratulations.
Bible said that, the reason why I decided ultimately to make the sacrifice is some opportunity to talk to colleagues, to be more involved. Okay? And in the almost 30 years of my practice, clinical medicine and public health, I've been everywhere. But the truth is that when it comes to issues like this, we are more academic than development. And so my communication to you, we need to shift from publishing, researching to develop. You need to occupy that space. And the reason, when I came and I was listening to the chairman, and the chairman was talking about security, but the first time I met him, we were having this conversation. And I, just like you, I was at the university lecturing, okay, teaching public health, and publishing papers. And I discovered that I always publish things that have no impact on anybody. Hello? We are just in the university publishing papers. And other people who are not competent but are practicing public health. And so in the teaching hospital, they call us Wole. They don't like public health physician. And when I left the university to go into practical public health, I discovered a different problem. I had a lot of quackery. Okay, so you don't take your space in biosafety, quacks who practice your profession. And we are discussing terrorizing here. And at the end of the conference, we clap ourselves and we go. So I'm going to challenge you. I'll challenge you from inside. Okay? So the president, recall we had a conversation about how I wrote the RSSH grant for Global Fund. And Global Fund secured some $40 million initially. And I think last year they secured another $52 million. So the RSSH is there for you to tap into. And I know there are a whole lot of funding opportunity for security, where the experts are not, and people are just doing, doing meetings, doing conferences, and not doing things. What COVID-19 came and made a mess of us as a country. Let me tell you, I listened to the Vice Chancellor's speech. 2 million or 3 million tests in Nigeria is an understatement. Okay? Fortunately, I was the lead writer of the COVID-19 grant for Nigeria. I was the lead consultant. I was in the US and WHO called me to come, right? We just won another $172 million for it. And you are here sitting for it. Of the $172 million, about $15 million is committed to genomics and health security. Okay, and we don't tap into it. Some people say that in Abuja. Do more security on behalf. Take decisions. I've written the grant. Nigeria won it. Okay, Nigeria was supposed to assess about $133 million. I wrote, I won $172 million. Okay. I will take advantage of the documents. However, my message to you as an association is that nobody makes you feel inferior without your permission. Okay? So beyond the rhetoric of conferences like this, you need to roll your sleeves and get involved. If you don't get involved in Nigeria, nobody remembers you. Okay, so I challenge you as a chairman, tell me, come to me, whatever I can do to facilitate your meeting, the stakeholders, I will. The second reason why I think this conference is challenging is that COVID-19 has exposed the problem of coordination, financing, of the system. We should stop the blame game. We should stop the blame game. I'll give you an instance. Somebody has supported the federal government to conduct a survey in Nigeria in about 4 or 5 states. The COVID-19 zero prevalence for antibodies, antibody prevalence in Lagos was 23% before vaccine. Okay? COVID-19 antibody prevalence in Lagos before vaccine was 23%. So what is the population of 23% of the patients? That will be more than 5 million people that have been exposed to COVID, probably not tested, but they have reacted. Okay? And then when you give the population the figure of you have tested 2-3 million people in Nigeria, it doesn't academic. Right?
So I said, I think what we need to do as a union is to make sure that when policy plan, strategies are being developed, we are proactive. Two, second is that when national resources are being discussed, particularly at the point of the parliament, we have advocacy, we don't sit back because nobody serves you anything in this country. Nobody, even the one you ask for, they don't give you. Because as you are creating another kind of strike, they will not give you. So you have, it is better to be at the center. And that is why some of us are a bit political. Okay? We decided to go into the political space and struggle it out. Because you allow the competent people to govern you, you just take the product of governance. Okay, so that's the second message. My third and final message is that the community of practice was mobilized. Your community of practice needs to be mobilized. When I came and I had this national meeting and I saw this all half field or half empty. Right? Half field or half empty. However you want to see it. So this community is not well mobilized to know the event. I challenge you. And so everywhere you are in Nigeria, and I know this is national conference. I started to come. Don't be too busy to be involved in something that defines the future of the profession. Okay? I mean, we are not different from doctors. In those days, when we do that, when we do that, everybody thinks we are just a bunch of layabouts. That you give your time to mobilize it for the association. No, people must make sacrifices. You must get out of the laboratory. Hello, you must participate in the politics of the association, the community, and so that resources is appropriately allocated to you and you play your part. And your part goes beyond the community. And when I talk about security, let us imagine what COVID had done to the world. The biological emergency has shown that it could be more deadly than any other form of war. Imagine biological warfare in the hand of wrong persons. None of us will be victim. That you are now safety experts, we don't spare you. And whatever you don't mobilize for or you don't hold, okay, there to you can escape into the wrong hands. When it goes to the wrong hands, then imagine, God forbid. So I want to implore us, as we go back to our centers, from Lagos to Kano, to Nasarawa, everywhere in Nigeria, let us mobilize our community so that when we have events like this, we show our presence, okay, we make sure we speak with one voice, and then we speak loudly enough for everybody and anybody to hear us. I'm going to talk to the political actors in Lagos, okay, that is not good for everybody to come from all over Nigeria. I mean, I remember I was a commissioner when I was working on the entire Nigeria. I want to be my state that I will not be there. Okay? So, but we need to show our presence and mobilize them and make sure that we do the needful. Even if people don't want to talk to us, our presence, make them talk to us. So can we clap for ourselves for this? On that note, I want to congratulate the president and the conference organizing committee for the beautifully packaged event. Congratulations on the fourth annual biological safety conference. And by the authority or the privilege extended to me as chairman of this event, I would like to declare this event open in the name of the Almighty Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
That's not the chairman's applause. Thank you. Take your beautiful seat. I'm sure if you listen to the chairman, definitely you'll be challenged. And so you are going back. More challenge, and greater challenge in your mind to do something, isn't it? God bless you, Chairman, sir. We'll take good message. We have Dr. Olusegun Oladejo, U.S. Defense threat reduction agency, give the goodwill message.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol while I make this opening message. My agency is actually United States Defense Threat Reduction Agency, and it's an agency of the United States Department of Defense. I would like to appreciate the leadership of NiBSA as led by Professor Abiodun. We appreciate the gesture and the opportunity to be part of this conference. Thank you very much, sir. I also like to say that the goal and objectives of NiBSA aligns with the mission of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, DTRA, in promoting biosafety and biosecurity, especially the control of dangerous pathogen assets around the world. DTRA has been supporting NiBSA through the Sangha National Laboratories, and we will continue to explore areas of future collaboration in terms of capacity building for biorisk management in Nigeria. Several participants from Nigeria, I believe, including membership of NiBSA, have been part of training sponsored by DTRA through the Zambia National Laboratory, both in Nigeria and in other African countries. For some time now, most of our training have been conducted, but DTRA is now having a presence in Nigeria. We are planning in the nearest future many capacity development programs in the coming up right from next year. We've been had discussion with the president of NiBSA, and we will be carrying you along as we make progress in that regard. Currently, we are working with the Nigerian Veterinary Research Institute. Any moment from now, we'll be doing a lot of work in terms of facility and laboratory upgrade, capacity development, as well as innovation. We are in the process of conducting an assessment, and we are still working with different stakeholders so that we are able to look at some of those facilities that have dangerous pathogens so that we can provide the necessary support. We are also working with Sangha National Laboratory to hold consultative forum. And the last 1 week, we've been engaging with different stakeholders in Nigeria, both with the international development partner and all the other agencies within Nigeria. Hopefully, this December, we are planning a program that definitely NiBSA will also be part of that program. We're bringing all the stakeholders together in Abuja to discuss on the development of a regulatory framework as well as a roadmap for tracking and monitoring of dangerous pathogens within the medical sector in Nigeria. DHRA, the biological DHRA's program, that is the biological threat reduction program, we call it BTRA, is a program that is responsible for supporting biosafety, biosecurity, and biosurveillance around the world. And we are working in almost about 40 countries around the world, including Nigeria. So in the nearest future, we'll be rolling out a lot of activities, and we are looking forward to expand the scope of operation in Nigeria in terms of support and capacity building, renovation, and equipment of laboratories in Nigeria. So using this opportunity for NiBSA to also get ready, because as the foremost umbrella body of practitioners in the sector, we believe that you have a very critical role to play. I want to thank you once again for the opportunity to be part of this conference. And I also like to say that I can see that I've been addressed as a doctor. Very soon I'll become a doctor. But since this is an academic environment, I don't want to take what I'm not yet qualified for. So thank you very much for that, Adam.
Thank you. That was a good one from Olusegun Oladejo. Thank you so much. You are aware this is a hybrid conference. The Lagos State Commissioner for Health is unavoidably absent, but because it's a hybrid conference, he may be addressing us when it comes online, and so we have that information that when it's appropriate, we take a keynote address. While we're waiting for that, I will welcome the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, any representative for the keynote address. I'm sorry for the goodwill message. Okay. We move. National Veterinary Research Institute, the Executive Director, Dr. Mrs. Miriam Mohammed, ably represented by Dr. Sati Nguluku, to give us a goodwill message.
Distinguished colleagues, the chairman of this occasion, the president of NiBSA, all other protocols duly observed. I'm here to represent the executive director of National Veterinary Research Institute, BOM, Dr. Mrs. Miriam Mohammed. She had actually planned to be in this conference. Suddenly, some of our partners are visiting the institute today, and she had to cancel a trip to Lagos. And we talked yesterday evening, and she asked me to say the goodwill of the National Veterinary Research Institute, BOM. The National Veterinary Research Institute, BOM, as we know, is a national veterinary laboratory for the country. The institute will be 100 years in 3 years' time, precisely 2024. The institute, as we know, has the mandate of conducting research on animal all animal diseases. It is also a vaccine production facility, the first and the only vaccine production facility, especially for animal vaccines in this country. And it's also has an extension arm that is responsible for extending all the research activities of the Institute to the end users. The NBRI home has a network of 24 outstation laboratories. There is one located here in Lagos, in Ikoyi, and it has one of the best structures. It is second to the headquarters in Bonn, and it is being equipped. By the time it's equipped, it will be one of the very best facilities in Lagos. And we all know that diseases now have no boundaries. The current thing now is the One Health approach, because emerging diseases we know are coming from animals. The COVID-19 that we're talking about, we all know that is coming from the animals, and therefore it is very key and critical that we collaborate and strengthen the One Health platform to contain emerging diseases. And so the NBRI Fund is very happy to associate with NiBSA, and that is why the Executive Director sponsored a number of people to attend this conference, because she knows the importance of biosafety in this country. And again, NBRI is also partnering with other partners. We currently have a biorepository facility. We know is mainly concerned with antimicrobial resistance pathogens, but we are also looking forward to build one of the best biorepository in this country, especially for zoonotic pathogens, dangerous zoonotic pathogens and other animal pathogens of high economic importance in this country. On this note, I would like to extend the goodwill of the National Veterinary Research Institute and to wish for a best conference here in Lagos. So once more, congratulations to NiBSA for holding its 4th national conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much. While he was addressing the national expert work team, members of the national expert, the treasurer of the house, Mr. Vincent Oji, is recognizing. The protocol officer, Hajira Yusuf. We will take a goodwill message from Eric Cook, and after that, we expect that the high table will move this way, and for a group photograph, then we'll go for our tea break. That's a goodwill message from Eric.
Yes, it's ready.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you
Eric.
can hear me. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. It is really my pleasure to be with you all today. My name's Eric Cook, and I work for Sandia National Laboratories, and I have been managing the work that Sandia does in Nigeria for the past almost 8 years. I've been traveling to Nigeria and meeting with many of you since 2014. And I have been really impressed with the growth of the Nigerian Biosafety Association over the past several years. And it has been an honor to be part of that and to see your progress, and also to be able to participate in this annual conference. Biosafety associations are critical to promoting the profession of biosafety and biosecurity. And I can see that in Nigeria over the past decade, how much growth has been made in incorporating biorisk management principles throughout the country. And NiBSA has played a very large role in making that possible. We have worked with NiBSA to deliver training sessions all over the country and teaching many people the basic concepts of biorisk management. And NiBSA has played a huge leadership role in that area. And I see great things for NiBSA in the future as they continue to promote the profession of biosafety and biosecurity. And I know that this will make a big impact on helping reduce the risk of both natural outbreaks and also the risk of laboratory acquired infections. So it protects both the community and workers. And I only wish that I could be there in person. And I hope that to be able to travel back to Nigeria again in the near future and see all of you again. And thank you very much. And it's really an honor for Sandia to be working with NiBSA. And I hope our collaboration can continue. And I wish you all the best success in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The president will announce the winner of the Media NiBSA President Investigators Award. And then after that, the group photograph.
Thank you very much. You recall that we had some presentations this morning in the novel NiBSA President Investigator Contest. Before I go further, may I acknowledge the efforts, commitment, and expertise of Professor Akini Yoshutoki, Professor Obayori, Professor Akiyemi, as well as Professor Obior Jekale, who have made themselves available to listen, screen, and present the results of this award, of this contest. I have the result of the contest before me. The 3 winners of the contest are here. They will be awarded with the award as we go on this conference. It is my honor, with permission of the chairman, to announce that the second runner-up in this contest In other words, the third place presentation in this award is Benchoma Adler. The first runner, that is to say the second place presentation, was given by Omuka Patience Adult. Some of us will protest because it is looking like a South Africa. But wait for the announcement of the winner. The first place presentation was the one presented by Toyo Sivahi. I have the honor to congratulate all those who participated in the contest, especially this. So it's my honor to congratulate you all, not only because you have won, but that you have won the very first edition of this contest. Accept my congratulations. Thank you.
Yes, can you a round of applause for the president? Another one for the contestant. Thank you very much. On this note, Mr. Chairman, I think that the high table will come to this place, and then we'll have a group photograph. After the high table, every participant will come this way, and we'll spread out the best way we can, and the photographers will do that. Where's the photographer? Oh, we'll go outside. Okay, so we'll go outside. Outside. Thank you, sir. And after that, we'll go straight to our tea break. Then we'll return to this place quickly. Thank you. I thought you put your hand together. Thank you very much.